Hello, 1 minute music challengers. We are going to be talking about how to create drums in your DAW. Now, whether you're using Garageband or what I'm using right here, and that's Reaper, the concept remains the same. You have to draw your drums. And if you're like me, you're not a trained drummer. You like to tell people you are, but we all know the truth. So, yeah, I'm having to just draw these things. And we're going to be using MIDI. Not necessarily a MIDI input, but just something to where you can kind of click and put a sound onto your DAW. And that's the whole point. Then you can edit it and make any kind of beat that you really want. And that's where we can get really creative and have a lot of fun with this. So the first thing you're going to need to do is create a brand new track on your workstation here. And you're going to need some software drums. Now, a lot of people use Get Good Drums, and that is a very good program. It really is. So if you have that, and it's just a little, from Contact or Native Instruments, this little GUI here that's called Get Good Drums, and I have the Invasion kit because it's more of like a metal sound kind of thing to it, and it is super fun to play around with. So if you have this is a lot of fun. So as you can see right here, and that's all it is. It's just software, all right? So we can record and get really creative with all this really cool stuff that we have in our DAW. Another thing I like to use is MT Power Drum Kit. Now the cool thing about this particular drum kit is that it is free. Now with free, you don't get to manipulate the sound like you can the little Contact method that I was just showing you, but still, it's there. Very loud. This actually sounds really good, and I'll use this. And for the sake of this particular video, this is the one that I'm going to use. Contact gets a little more complicated, so I'll just keep it simple. Another good thing about this MT Power Drum Kit 2 is you can easily say, hey, I want less snare. You can do that. You have a mixer. Okay, another thing you can do is you have these grooves that already come stock with the program. The good thing about already having grooves is the majority of the work is kind of already done for you. You can use one of these grooves, put it in there, manipulate it even further, and there you go. You have a drum track. And then you can get to the EQ portion of it and make it sound really good, very professional. Almost as if there was a real drummer in the room without the hassle of having a real drummer in the room. To all my drummer folks out there, you know what I'm talking about. Okay? All right, so let's do that. Let's just take a already simple drum beat in there and throw it in. Go ahead. Just click and drag and throw in the drum beat. And there it is. All right, so let's listen to that real quick. We're going to extend it so we can get a really good look of this. Let me bring down this mixer. I don't need this. I don't need to see the mixer anymore. All right, so let's just listen to this. All right, so we get the idea, all right? It's a basic drum beat, just a boom, ta, boom, ta, boom, ta, all right? So when you're writing drums, you kind of have to think like a drummer, okay? You can say, well, I have my hands and my feet, so I have to make sound just using those four things. And that's really all you have to do, all right? You may not be, the best in terms of rhythm, but the good thing about this, we have these little measure markers that help us stay on beat. All right, so we're just going to use those. So like I said, this is the very first simple way to kind of write some drums. So this is what we start out with. And if you see right here, this tick here, that's our bass drum. This tick here is our snare. This here is going to be our hi-hat open. We got a crash. And we have a right side crash as well. But let's get a little more creative, all right? Let's try to think of a beat that you want to do. You got it? Great. I bet it's this one. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw another bass drum hit. And let's put another one right here. I don't even know if this is going to be on beat. Let's just try it out. Yeah, see, it kind of wasn't on beat. So if it's not on beat, just take it and drag it over. All right, so that's how it's first starting out. All right, but let's say you want to do that throughout the entire song. Well, what I would do is go ahead and just get rid of these beats here. And I'm going to highlight this drum beat that I have, and I'm going to put that for every measure. Okay, so we have measure 1, 2, and 3, so let's just do it 3 times. Control C, all right, that's copy, and then we're going to Control V it, and that is paste. See what's going on here? All right, now we've created a little different drum beat. So that made it a little more interesting, okay? Instead of the basic boom, da, I went boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba, boom, boom, ba. So that's how you have to kind of think like a drummer, if you can. And then after that, it's entirely up to you how you want to mess around with this. If you want to move this snare a little bit more, or if you want an outro, you know, you can take one of these things, Control Copy, just one of these drum hits, and just throw it in somewhere. And the good thing about MIDI, you can put it anywhere you want. Okay, so if you just want another snare drum right here at the end, let's just put it right here. This is what it's going to sound like. All right, there you go, and you can get much more complicated. Then you can have fun with, you know, manipulating the sound, putting reverb on your drums, make it sound like it was in a room, compress the sound, do whatever you have to mix this stuff into the rest of your music. So that's the best way to do it. Another thing you can do, you can get a MIDI keyboard. Those things are a lot of fun if you feel like just hitting keys to represent the bass drum or the snare and so on and so forth. You can also get a MIDI drum pad, which for those of you who are, you know, drumming enthusiasts, can make up your own beat basically just by hitting the drum pad in exactly the same rhythm that you would want on your DAW. And that is, in a nutshell, that's how you create drums, folks. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just leave them in the comments and I'll get back to you. And I will try to see what we can do to get your music sounding really good. Everyone, have a wonderful night.